Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the fans forum or the therapy forum, you decide. It is another draw. Point apiece at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and you know it looks like United were going home with the 3 points, but then all of a sudden in the second half, once again it becomes a bumpy ride, and Matthijs de Ligt has to save Amorim's blushes right there at the end with a goal right at the finish to equalise for Manchester United. What were your thoughts on the game? There's a lot to unpick. We've got loads to talk about. Is it a good point? Are you disappointed? Let us know in the comments. I'm joined with Mordz, Kev, and Ricky. To start us off, I'm just going to do quick fire, good point or disappointed.
Oh, good point. Oh,
not sitting on the fence.
Disappointed.
Kev?
Good draw.
Good point.
I'm going disappointed. Me and Mordz versus you two.
Split.
Do you want to know why I'm disappointed? Because it's the same things over and over again. And do you know what? I do actually agree with a lot of people once again saying if that was last season, we would have ended up losing that game, we wouldn't have come back, we wouldn't have drawn it, but we should be going home from that game with 3 points. A good side, a decent side, sees that game out, and it's just frustrating to me because for the last 3 games in a row, and I understand we're still unbeaten and I don't want to be negative, but for the last 3 games in a row, we've conceded 2 goals in each game. It's unacceptable.
No, I agree. Like, for me, I'm disappointed for 2 reasons. One, like you said, we should be doing better in that moment of the game. In the 70th minute of the game, you're 1-0 up. We can still go and get another goal. It's not like it's impossible for us to score. We had good chances to even go and get another goal. And for us to be literally once again a last-minute header from losing 2-1. That's why I'm disappointed, because it's like we could have easily, let me not say easily, but we could have definitely gone and won that game, and we were so close to losing. But then I'm also disappointed because it just feels like whenever there's, I know we're still unbeaten in the last 5 games, but it also just feels like every time we take a step forward, just something holds us back again. It's like we take 2 steps back, and a lot of people are saying what you said before are right. It's similar problems that we've seen throughout this whole season, and problems that we saw last season. The fact that we're still conceding multiple goals in the same period of the game. When are we gonna eventually learn and you know, stop this from happening? I mean, there's a bunch of stats that are out. I'm sure you're gonna read some of them later on. But the amount of goals that we've conceded in the second half, the amount of goals we've conceded after we've made subs, it's the same things over and over again. So you can't really be happy that we didn't lose a game, but I'm a bit more concerned about that we're making the same mistakes over and over again.
I'm concerned as well because we're not going to be able to rely on a de Ligt last-minute goal, an Ahmad worldy goal every single time. You've got to make sure you see out these games, and I understand, you know, Tottenham are a tough team. They're in and around the top 4 as well, but it doesn't matter. In that game, I think if United were to win it 1-0, you would have come out of it and said, you know what, we really hung in there, we did really well. There was opportunities where you could go on and make it 2-0 as well, which we will discuss. It frustrates me because if you're an Mbeumo or an Ahmad playing at that level in that team, it just must be so frustrating when these things happen. But yeah, just off goals conceded, I'm going to come to Kev and Ricky as well. And you guys, get your comments in, let us know. And we're going to talk about how we fix that. So, just in terms of how we're conceding these goals, so if you look at the Premier League table, right, Man United have scored, let me just see if it's updated, hold on, 1 second.
19, I think.
Yeah, Manchester United have scored 19 goals, okay? And we've conceded 18 goals. If you look at the likes of the top of the table, you've got City scoring 20, conceding 8, Arsenal conceding 18, scoring 18, conceding 3. Tottenham scoring 19, conceding 10. Liverpool scoring 18, conceding 14. Sunderland scoring 12, conceding 8. We are conceding 18 goals. If you look at the goals we've scored, 19, we're towards the top. We're scoring goals. People might want us to score more goals. People might want us to create more chances. You always do. Scoring goals, we're there. Conceding 2 a game for the last 3 games and then conceding 18 goals in the Premier League is something we've got to get a grip on. And just to put it into more context, Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland have kept more clean sheets than United this season. Man United have only kept 1 clean sheet all season.
Need a new goalie.
We don't.
How is your?
We don't.
On,
and we'll get onto that. And then,
Wow.
just to kind of put it in a way of where the criticism's coming in, and that's on, you know, Ruben Amorim and maybe the substitutions that he's making. If every game was based just on the first half, United would be top of the league. Whereas if every game was based on the second half, we would be 18th. So in the second half, something switches in us. Maybe the substitutions have an effect. And just to top it off, guys, to digest all these stats, United have conceded 13 goals without Casemiro on the pitch and just 5 goals with him on the pitch. So with Casemiro often being substituted in the second half, with our first half stats meaning we're going to be top of the league, our second half stats kind of showing that we would be towards the bottom of the league, do you think it really can just be as simple as, you know, Ricky has the banter there about the goalkeeper, which we'll get onto in a bit, but is it as simple as that when Ruben Amorim looks to his bench and Casemiro in particular comes off, the team just capitulates?
I would like to think, I've not heard yet whether Casemiro's was an injury, because I do look at that and I think it's a huge kind of turning point of the game. I don't know what to think of Ugarte at this moment in time. I kind of look at him and I think he's never really had a right run of games, but at the same time the manager clearly does not like him. I think you have to give Casemiro his flowers. I think he's just recently this season, I think he's doing brilliantly, and it's no coincidence that when he comes off the pitch today, the midfield kind of battle, we're losing it then. You know, the general in Casemiro, who a lot of people have you know, written off. You've got likes of Jamie Carragher, haven't you? You know, leave the football before it leaves you and all this. Well, you know, if he'd have done that back in time, you know, I think he's performing really well at this moment in time.
To be fair as well, when Casemiro was playing, when Carragher got onto him, he was terrible. Like, you got to see if what his things can change. He's come back and he's done really well. But I feel like Pep now, we cannot replace him. You know, we were talking about Aguero, we cannot replace him. Casemiro is probably like 99% going to leave at the end of the season. I'm sorry, guys. Just going to be completely honest. Want every player to work. Ugarte, I've seen enough. I have seen enough. He gets run through like a knife through butter, and it's not the first time. He's too focused on the man instead of focused on the space and which area to defend against him. Seriously responsible for conceding that first goal today. Multiple players were, but Casemiro coming out of the team and Ugarte coming into the team, it's just night and day.
What I would say on that is I do agree. I'm not trying to disagree on that point, but I don't think it's more of a case of we just need Casemiro so much. I think it's a case of when he comes off, we don't have anyone who can replicate that quality.
That's true.
So I just think if we were to replace him with someone good enough, it wouldn't be a problem if Casemiro doesn't start every single game. But it's just the fact that when he comes off, like you said, we're bringing on players who either are not playing football, so they're just coming on with like 5-10 minutes underneath their belt in the last like 4 games, or it's just players who just cannot match that quality. And I think with Ugarte, if I'm being honest, I mean, I looked at the goal that you're talking to. I wouldn't necessarily say that Casemiro would have been able to track back as quickly as Ugarte tried to and made a tackle. And like you can't really say that if he was on the pitch, he would have 100% stopped it, because that's just not how football works. But I just feel like quality-wise, we're replacing Casemiro with a player who just can't keep up to the level and the pace that the game was at that moment in time. In the 70th, and around the 70th minute, 70th, 80th minute, the game was going very, very quick. It was very back and forth. Spurs obviously had a lot more of the ball and they were creating chances. You're bringing on a player who's not played a lot of football, who doesn't have the amount of quality as a player of Casemiro or other players. He just can't get up to the pace of the game quick enough, and that's why he probably got ran through. So, no, I just think if we were to replace Casemiro with a good enough player, I don't think it would be a problem if Casemiro wasn't starting for us.
I get your point, but there's a reason why when Casemiro comes off, and unfortunately, maybe it's just the fact that Casemiro is playing so well, and Ugarte comes on. There's a massive quality difference. He can't lace his boots at the moment, and that might change. It might change, because there was a point in time when Casemiro was performing really poorly and now he's performing excellently. But nobody can play in that midfield in the system that we've got set up the way that Casemiro can. And I'm not even saying Casemiro's like, you know, best midfielder in the league. Maybe it says more about Amorim's setup. But if Ugarte is going to be successful in that team, first of all, I think he needs to get so much better in loads of areas. But it can't be within combination with Bruno. It's just too open. That midfield pairing doesn't work. Every time I see it on the pitch, we get run through. And maybe it's the fact that if he's changing Casemiro, then he also needs to change Bruno, but Mainoo wasn't there today. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't work. I mean, Ricky, what are your thoughts on them stats that we've just spoken about there?
it's something that you need to look into more deeply. We haven't got time here we haven't got the wherewithal to look at it, but you need to look at the situations in the games, what other substitutions are made, who you're playing against, the quality. There's so many different things that you need to take into account, and you can't just look at those set of stats and just say automatically it's because Casemiro came off that we conceded goals.
I'm not saying it's just because of that. It's a contributing factor, though.
It could easily be a contributing factor, but you really do need to. There's too many situations to look at. I mean, I can't remember if he even came off at Anfield, but for example, Ugarte came on at Anfield for a fair chunk. I seem to remember, and we still got the job done there, didn't we? And that's at Liverpool. You know what I mean? So, it's not always the case. It's not all. It's not always necessarily poorer or necessarily better when certain players are on the pitch. So
do you not think it is? Because I think visibly it's obvious. I generally think visibly.
I thought he did great at Anfield, and I know there's one situation. You know what I always say, don't you, Beth? I'll watch it back.
Yeah.
I will watch it back. In fact, he only played about 20 minutes, so that's not hard. I'll watch that back tonight. So I'll just go tonight. I'll go to the last 20 minutes and watch it and just see how I think he did. I did see him lose the. I saw the point there where he had the ball on the right touchline, and I thought he was going to lose it. He was hemmed in by about 3 players, and he got out of it. And he fouled him, and he still passed it to one of our players. He did really well. Who's to say if Casemiro was there, he might have lost it? Do you know what I mean?
But that's what I say. I just think Ugarte just can't. When he comes on, it takes him a minute to get up to the pace of the game, and I think that's his problem. Like even was it the first or second goal where he kept him on side? The reason why he's kept him on the side isn't because he ran in deep and he just didn't get back in time. Which if you was playing for a good 30-40 minutes,
I'll even defend him on that a little bit.
You might be able to get back quicker.
The reason I'll defend him on that is for, again, I'll have to watch it again. But he ran back deeper than anyone else. So to get back, he's got 7 or 8 yards more. They were all further out to start with. So he's got 7 or 8 yards further. And I think he is the only one who's playing him on side when he heads that, Richarlison. It depends on whether, was there a good enough reason for him to have ran so deep in the first place.
That's what you need to look at.
But once he had run so deep in the first place, there was no way he could get out quick enough. No way.
He's not the quickest.
What do you think the reason is then that we're conceding so many goals in the second half, and we're conceding as many as we are? Do you have an idea of why that's happening?
That sounds like a team thing. That to me, that doesn't sound like an individual thing. And maybe even fitness-wise, I don't know.
Because you could say character-wise, the last 2 weeks we've been leading games that we've drawn 2-2, haven't we, against Nottingham Forest. And now today, you look at that as a kind of result, but it does seem to be something in the second half. You could even, if you really want to pick at it, you look at the substitutions that the manager's making in the second half, and you wonder, is that affecting the team? Does he make too many substitutions sometimes, where you bring in 3 or 4 players on in the second half of a game? And sometimes, as we've seen with Ugarte today, he cannot get into that game, could he? He couldn't get out for the goal that they scored, looked sloppy on the ball and that, and you kind of look and, is Amorim overthinking things too much where he's changing it? Is he not adapting? Is he not being sort of proactive in the changes that he's making? And it drives us mad, doesn't it? Because at times we always know what he's going to do. It's always that like-for-like substitution of a defender, whereas today, I think he was forced into moves purely because of injury. It wasn't Amorim going, I'm going to think outside the box here, I'm bringing Dallo on, I'm doing this and that. Why are you looking at me like that, Beth?
Can I just say...
I think there's only one change that he had to make because of injury, and that was Mazraoui. Unless I'm missing something.
Unless it comes out about Casemiro. Maguire, yeah.
Oh yeah, Maguire, to be fair.
And he actually did say, didn't he, didn't he say something about that he had to take Maguire and Casemiro off?
Yeah, but it just does depend on whether Casemiro's injured or not.
Mazraoui as well was...
Yeah, I think in my opinion, with the Mazraoui one, if I don't think that really changed the game that much. I thought Ahmad did really well there. I thought Yoro came on and did really well. The main one for me was the change in the midfield. I think really did make a difference. That's just my opinion.
Can I just say this? We all watched the game together.
Yeah.
And in the second half, there was a sea change in the way the game was going, and we mentioned it. The game changed completely right from the start of the second half. You know, we couldn't. We spoke about it watching the game. Don't forget,
Couldn't get out of our own half,
get out of
could we?
our own half. We
Yeah.
can't get any passes together in there. So it had already happened.
Yeah.
It had already happened before Ugarte came on. It's just that they hadn't scored any goals. Obviously, we will never know if they would have scored any goals if we wouldn't have changed it. But they were, you know, I certainly felt as though they were going to score.
Just to say here, I'm not scapegoating Ugarte. My main problem with why we ended up drawing that game isn't Ugarte. I think he's a contributing factor because Amorim brought him on, and I don't think he played very well. But he's not the reason that we drew the game. I'm not scapegoating him at all. There's other members of the team that maybe need to kind of have a little look at. But the main reason we drew that game is Amorim. I'm completely clear on that. I think De Ligt saved Amorim from a really embarrassing in-game management situation, to be honest with you. Barnes, did you...
Yeah, that's what I say. Two things quickly. One, I agree with Ricky in the sense of the second half was not in our favour from the start of the second half. But I think before the show, I mentioned when the momentum's already shifted to the other team. If you go make a bunch of subs at the same time, you're almost putting those players in the complete worst situation because they're coming into a game where Spurs has already got all the men. They're already on top, and now you're coming on with fresh legs, and it's like, whoa, like the game's way more difficult than it probably would have been in the first half. So I think in that sense, I think Ricky's right. It makes the game a lot more hard, a lot more difficult. Same thing happened in the Brighton game. We made the subs when we thought we were on top. I think we were 3-0 up, but the game has shifted. The momentum was on Brighton's side, and all of a sudden now we conceded 2 goals when the subs came on because they had to come on with fresh legs against a bunch of players who were already on top of us. That's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to say was, I think one big problem that we're actually going to have this season, and we've seen it already, is this one game a week is making our starting 11 way better than our subs. I think our starting 11, because they're getting to play every single week more or less, the level of our players that are starting compared to the level of the players that are on the bench is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We look at our bench sometimes and think, oh, we've got a strong bench, and then we make the subs, and all of a sudden it's like, why did we bring on those players? It's common sense. The players that are on the bench are not playing. If you're not playing, you're not going to get better. So I think the difference with the problem that we're having so far this season is because we're playing one game a week, yes, it's helping because we're getting more time to train, etc. But then when it comes to in-game, we're seeing a huge drop-off in quality with not every single player on the bench, but with a lot of the players that are coming off the bench, we're seeing a huge drop-off in quality compared to the starting 11.
I mean, yeah, I know Ricky wants to come back on that. We've got some super chats coming in. We've got some Amorim quotes coming in. Get involved in the comments, everyone. We need your opinions as well. It's perfectly okay to disagree. I can see that happening. That's absolutely fine. And you want to put your point across, get your super chats in and we can read it out. Our team says we definitely need to sign a midfielder this January. Marlow FC has said De Ligt showing why he's the best defender in the Prem at the moment, even with the worst midfield in the Prem in front of him. We will talk about De Ligt. He's definitely a talking point today. The green team says happy with the draw, not happy with using all of our subs when we weren't chasing the game. Conceding goals second half coincides with the subs quality. Micha says people go at Ugarte, who lost 3 balls. Bruno lost about 30 today and he's slower to get back. Bruno is the problem. He's not a midfielder. Simply Red says even with one game a week, players tired in the second half. This is clearly the brand of football that is not sustainable. Hope now Joshua Zirkzee gets minutes. Ruben talent ID is questionable. Bobby Ukawegi says we're conceding too many goals because of our weak midfield. Keel Robinson said Bruno in centre mid is a contributing factor. The notorious player says now Sesko is out, why not put Bruno at 10 and Cunha at striker? And Micha also says without Bruno we could have over 60% possession today, but he doesn't make the simple pass. Ricky was right, love you guys, listen to Ricky. Adonia said it's such a shame that despite not playing European football, we still look more lethargic than Spurs. Do we have a fitness coach? Going to come back to some of the other super chats in a second. Thank you everyone for getting them in. I mean, someone made a really good point before that our midfield is both over 30. I don't know if that makes a difference. Both are quite physically fit, I would assume, but obviously they're not in the prime right now. I mean, Ricky, did you want to come back on Mord's point then? Because I know you were like this to me before.
I forgot what it was now.
You forgot what it was. I'll move on to my next point, and that is about the substitutions. Just quickly on that, Ruben Amorim has said it's a little frustrating, but there was also pride at the response of the players at the response to the second goal of Tottenham. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're at the beginning of becoming a strong team, so we have a lot to do. We do have a lot to do, and I think we are making gradual improvements. But just while we're talking about Amorim, I want to talk about his in-game management. It is getting a lot of criticism. Is it getting a lot of criticism deservedly, Ricky?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Mordz has just said there quite a lot about his substitutions against Brighton and obviously his substitutions today. I don't get what it is in professional football these days. I know people will say the game's changed, but the amount of substitutes that you can use has grown slowly but surely. You know, it's not too long ago, it's not that long ago that you could only use 3 substitutes. I can't remember if it went to 4 before it went to 5, but I can remember when it was 2. I can even remember when it was 1. Now, you do not need to make... I know you've got 5 substitutes to make, but you don't have to use them all. And yet, so many managers seem to think that they've got to use all the substitutions. You don't have to use them all. So you just use them for injuries, use them for a tactical change. But I'll say this to you, if you was a manager, Kevin, and you had to make 5 tactical changes, I'd say to you, well, you didn't pick your team very well in the first place, did you? Do you know what I mean? You know, so let's calm down a little bit. At least keep a player back until the last minute of the game, you know, because I've seen this, not just United, I've seen it many times, you know, teams having to play out at the injury time, and I know we got away with it today by getting another goal ourselves, but, you know, one of the main reasons we went 2-1 behind was because we only had 10 men, we couldn't get out of our box.
I will be interested to see if he has been forced into a lot of them, you know, through injury today.
There was injuries.
I don't think
was
for a
injured.
minute. He's never done that, has he, where he's brought up, you know, you see 3 players coming on at a time like that.
I don't know about that. I think he does.
No, he has.
Yeah, I think he does.
Due to injury.
But he might have had to do it because of injury. We don't know, Kev. I think you make a really good point. If he had, then maybe there is a little bit more of sympathy in that aspect. I mean, there's rumours coming out that Benjamin Sesko is in a great deal of pain right now with a knee injury, so let's see how that develops. I mean, just looking at the subs, just to kind of finish off on that, the Mazraoui one, if he had a reoccurring injury kind of hobbling off, putting Ahmad back there, understandable. Some might say, would you put Dallo on because you're 1-0 up and it's maybe a little bit more defensive, and Ahmad was doing pretty well in the forward position, potentially, but it's nothing to write home about. Euro came on, did really well. Casemiro, I really want to know if he was injured or not. If he wasn't, I think that's a sub too far at that moment in time.
That's what I need to know, yeah.
And then, this is the question for you. So you've used your subs, Dorgu gets a yellow. I know we're overanalyzing now and hindsight is, 2020, but do you think it was naive of Amorim to leave it so he had no subs left? Then when Sesko comes off, you stuck with 10 men. Because, Kev, you literally said, as he was making that substitution, we were watching the game together, I really hope someone doesn't get injured now and has to hobble off.
Yeah.
And it literally happened. And thank God for Ligt scoring that goal, but to have to play that game with 10 men, with 10, 15 minutes left to go, it is a little bit embarrassing on Amorim's side, do you think?
Again, if he's been forced into the substitutions before it, I can see, but you would certainly hold the last one back, regardless of what you try to do or what point of the game you're in. I said it at the time because it's a concern, because I remember shouting over to you and saying, is that the 5 that he's made now? And Ricky was like, yeah. And then I just thinking out loud, I just said, if somebody does hobble off here, and with the timing of it, I'm thinking, with the injury time at 6-7 minutes, whatever it was going to be added on time, I'm thinking we could be playing 8 or 9 minutes potentially, with 10 men. It was a struggle at that point in time anyway, and then it did become that struggle. I mean, what I do want to say here is, perspective-wise, we are still unbeaten in 5 games this season. I'm sure I don't see this personally as a therapy forum today. Something where I know you are disappointed. You were last week against Nottingham Forest, where it depends what you are. You have to look at it and think, well, we have. Yeah, getting into that winning position to be clawed back is disappointing, because you look, and at 1-0 we're all sat there going, this is good, and then we're all saying, calm down, if we win, next minute we're 2-1 down. But to score that goal in the 96th minute with 10 men, he's thrown the kitchen sink and everything. Lammens has gone up, for Christ's sake, and he's gone for it, and it has worked. But I do think you need to look, perspective-wise, look at the games in that run as well, and tell yourself that before that run on paper, them games, if somebody had said you're going to get this points from that game, and we had Brighton in there, we had Liverpool away, I think the points tally, I just think the expectation levels, because we beat Liverpool, then we beat Brighton, you've got your man who needs to get his hair cut, if we win 5 games in a row and all that, but it's, I really do look at that today, and at 2-1 down, we're all saying, bloody hell, take a draw now, of course you would, and when we scored, you're happy, but I do think you look back and think, if we'd have, because we got into that lead and then to be 2-1 behind somehow. But I'm on reflection of it, I'm happy.
Glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah, you know I am. Man.
It was disappointing. Like you two especially said it was disappointing. I was disappointed that we were a goal up. I think there was less than 10 minutes left, wasn't there, when they scored their first goal? I'm sure it was.
Got 2 quick ones
minutes
there.
or something. So obviously I'm disappointed. But when you asked us that at the start of the show, Beth, are you happy with the point? You can't. Was it 84 minutes? As late as that. See what I mean? So obviously you're disappointed that you've not won. You've not been able to hang on. But it's unfair using. When you're asking us that question, to use hindsight. Before the game, I said I was happy with a point, so I can't change that now. We've got that point that I was happy with. Of course, I'm disappointed we couldn't hang on to a lead with 84 minutes gone.
Mystic Rick as well predicted 2-2.
Yeah, maybe the sub. I don't know. I don't know how to go into it. I mean, we'll move on a little bit from the substitutions now. Just a quick one. Harry Amas, Manchester United loanee, has just scored for Sheffield Wednesday. So congrats to him. Can he be recalled, please, to play at left wing back? Honestly, thank you very much. Let's move on. We've got some super chats coming in. A lot of people asking about Benjamin Sesko. Kev's cheese grater said, "Hi Beth, I had a dream. I told you Bruno is overrated and you punched me." Strange one, but all right. Whatever tickles your pickle. Marlow FC says, "What progression are we actually talking about? Ollie and Ten Hag also got Manager of the Month. We are back being a transition team, which to be fair, Solskjaer mastered." Hassan says, "We will win games, but it's easy to see the manager needs to have the guts to at least sub Bruno. He's a great player, but it's a team game, poor management." Makaleli says, "Amorim's like-for-like changes are concerning." Keel says, "Amorim doesn't play to anyone's strengths." Adoni says, "My God, Sesko is in bullet mode slow. Gosh." Mr. Dark says, "We must remain humble no matter what. The Sesko injury may be a good chance for Zirkzee. If Ruben is looking for a false 9 in Cunha, then why not try Zirkzee?" And Pengas92 says, "You are right, Beth. A good side sees the game out, but we aren't that. We're an average side at best. We got what we deserved, didn't lose, so I'll take it." Class of 99 says, "Again, poor in-game management and bad choice of subs. Maybe now Zirkzee will get some minutes. Why he doesn't get a look in at the moment is baffling." And Ginger Falcony says, "Trend is to hate Sesko. He is sucked from confidence." Thank you everyone for getting your super chats in. I mean, just on that, I do want to talk about some really good positives from the game. Mbeumo, Ligt, Lammens. We're going to get into that. Let's talk about this. Right. I'm not saying Amorim should have subbed Zirkzee on instead of Sesko. I'm not saying that. Sesko's the new signing. He's the striker that we're trying to build with for the future. However, do you think Zirkzee should be getting a few more minutes?
I'd like to think yes. I'd like to think he would be able to get a few more minutes.
As a sub?
As a sub.
Coming off the bench, not starting games.
Not starting,
no.
Coming off the bench. Not that he hasn't played well for us sometimes as a starter. It's just that we've signed all these players and we discussed this before the game. There's just too many players for those number 10 positions and
heavily stacked. We're
stacked with 10s, but not really stacked with 9s, but we've got players that can play there, like Cunha, like Mbeumo, obviously Sesko, who's now injured. And now that he's injured, I mean, it might be a serious injury. I still don't see Zirkzee getting too many starts. I think he'd sooner start Cunha or Mbeumo there. And then obviously there's room for Mount to play, which reminds me of coming back to what Mordz was talking about earlier. Sometimes, there's been games in the past where Mount started and we've still been better in the first half than we have in the second half. Do you know what I mean? We just seem to be better in the first half than we are in the second half. Whoever plays and whoever comes on.
Zirkzee's well down the pecking order, man. In terms of the number 10 battle, Bruno's ahead of him. Cunha, Mbeumo, Ahmad. I'd even say Mount would be ahead of him.
Yeah,
and that's 6 there. When you think
for 3 spots.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily talking about the number 10 spot today. And again, it's hindsight, and I'm not saying in the game I would have been sat there doing this, but I'm just thinking about how the game played out. But I felt like in that second half we could barely string 2 passes together, and we needed some press resistance in there. One thing Zirkzee has is he can keep the ball, he can hold the ball, and when you have the likes of Ahmad making them runs and Mbeumo making them runs, and they were actually getting a bit of joy in behind, could he have been maybe a better option, the ball sticking to him, putting them passes in to give us a little bit of a footing in the game, maybe? Or do you think it was the right move to bring Sesko on?
It's tough. Actually, it's all hindsight, and it's because we all would have probably bought on Sesko if we were manager. Let's be honest. We wouldn't have said, "Nah, let me bring on Zirkzee and leave Sesko on the bench." You probably would have brought him on. So, yeah, I think the reality is, look, with Sesko, I think you mentioned it before. His style of play is similar to playing a false nine, which is what Cunha and Mount do anyway. So, if you are going to make a change and you want to change the game a little bit, you're not going to bring on the exact same player to kind of do the exact same role that the player on the pitch is doing, even if the player on the pitch. I mean, let's be honest, Cunha, even though he didn't have the greatest game, he's still a better player than Zirkzee. So you wouldn't really make that change if you're the manager. You're going to think, okay, I need to make a change. I'm probably going to change it up and bring on Sesko, who's just a different profile of a player, of a striker than Zirkzee. So I think it's unfortunate for Zirkzee because I like him and I think he should be getting more game time. And I think for a player like him at his age, he probably wants to be playing more because, I mean, everyone's thinking about, the World Cup and everyone's thinking about all these kind of things. And even just development in general, the more you play, the better you're going to get. So for a player like Zirkzee, it's kind of like this season's almost like a throwaway for him because, I'm not going to play that many minutes. He might even be thinking in January, can I get a move somewhere? Because I'm not going to play here. Where can I play? So
I don't see any place for him in this team. And if I was Ruben Keverim and I'm on the sidelines and if I'm chasing a game, sorry about that, was awful, and I'm looking for a goal, I think there's other players on that bench.
We weren't looking for a goal when Sesko came on, though. We were 1-0 up.
Well, I was going to say the only time that I would be bringing a player like Zirkzee on is if I was actually defending a kind of lead.
Which is what we were doing.
Yeah, because he will hold the ball up and that. We were just talking about where he's going to fit in, but he's an expensive player. If you look at it, the wages, whatever he's on, is he really going to hang around? At a point when all right, we're 1-0 up and there's 10 minutes left. Let's bring Zirkzee on for because he's going to keep it simple. He'll hold the ball up. He already admitted himself when he joined. I'm absolutely baffled by that signing. The fact that he said we're looking for a goal scorer at that point in time, and he comes through the door and says, "Don't expect me to score goals. That's not what I do." And I'm like, what are you on about? And fair enough, he's not prolific, but that's United again. Would you not do looking back on his career and go, we needed a goal scorer at that time?
I'm going to be so honest, Kev, I love you so much, but I disagree with you. I think you're being harsh on him.
What have you seen from him?
He's had like 90 minutes across the whole season with 10 games in. What's Sesko done?
There's a reason he's not getting on the pitch.
What's Sesko done?
We're still talking about Zirkzee right now?
Yeah, honestly, I want Sesko to do really well, right? But Zirkzee has barely had any time. Sesko hasn't exactly came in and tore it up to shreds, has he?
He's not had a run of games, though.
Zirkzee's not.
Amorim bought Sesko. Zirkzee is a Ten Hag signing, so from Amorim's point of view, he can go, I can bring you on, I can't guarantee you're going to start any games, I can bring you on now and again. I've just said we're heavily stacked in the 10 position. Is that where you want to see Zirkzee?
No, I want to see him come on up front. I think today would have been a really good opportunity when we're up against it. We can barely string a pass together to put Zirkzee on in that 10 and try and get Mbeumo and Ahmad in behind. But just never goes to use him.
You could play Mbeumo up there. I know it wasn't a great audition today for Cunha. That's a couple of games now where I've looked and there's a slight concern there. But you've got players there that... The one thing when we were 1-0 up today, you said, even though Cunha wasn't well on it, at least work rate-wise, I don't think you get that from Zirkzee.
Yeah, I get your point.
Zirkzee's a good player.
I think he's a good player.
And the last season,
he's all right.
And the last season, we were begging for him to play for us. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's when standards were low and we were really, really bad.
But I bet
Zirkzee would come on, do a flick or something. He made us that penalty against Arsenal.
He made us way better.
I think Sesko's the type of player you start with.
Yeah.
He's Amorim's player, isn't he? He's spent money on him. He's not really had a run of games as well, Sesko. I'm
not even complaining about Sesko. Like I said before, I think we would have all made the same choice as Amorim. I just think with a player like Zirkzee, we're just not... End of the day, you want to get the best out of every single one of your players, even your subs. You want to be able to bring on a sub and that player to come on and be at their best. So I think with Zirkzee and with the majority of our subs, Ugarte, Mainu, all these guys, none of them are at their best. So when we're bringing them on, we're getting 20% or 30% of the player that they could possibly be. So whatever the reason for that is, whether it's one game a week, whether it's what the position they're playing in, whatever it is, we're just not getting the best out of some of our players. So yeah, I think it's harsh. I think it's very harsh on Zirkzee.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe he might get some time now, but just regarding Sesko, I'm not saying like, Sesko's not going to be. I want Sesko to be, but I'm just saying, it's not as if Sesko is like loads better. At this moment in time, they're different players, but with Sesko, do you think people are maybe being a bit harsh on him? Do you think the criticism's right? He came on today, couldn't really get hold of the ball that much, maybe a few missed opportunities. I mean, do you think it's difficult for him adapting, or I mean, do you want to just wait to judge him? Because he is a young player adapting to a new league. You've got to have patience with these sort of players, but the trouble is United need people for the now, don't they?
We haven't got time for patience, have we?
Yeah.
Have we? You know, he doesn't seem to.
I think as a fan base we are quite patient. We're certainly patient with managers and players. I give Højlund a load of time. I'll give Sesko I don't see how you can write him off. But if you want to talk about the game today, and you can look at it two ways, can't you? Van der Ven makes a last-ditch, world-class challenge. Or if you're being highly critical, you look at Sesko there and go, if he's switched on there and takes that opportunity first time, instead of letting let the ball run across himself, because he probably thinks in the moment he's got too much time and he doesn't know Van der Ven's coming in. You look at that and, maybe another top striker who's at the top of his game. I don't want to compare him to a Haaland, but to a player like that, he's finishing that. And 9 times out of 10.
Also, you got to bear in mind that maybe I'm forgetting, but did he have any clear-cut chance as good as that throughout the whole game?
No.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I feel like that was his first actual clear-cut
just come into the game as well.
So it's like, if that's your first chance and you miss, and everyone's saying you're a bad player because of it, it's like, Haaland gets 50 of them. Maybe not 50, obviously, but Haaland's getting way more than them each game. He might miss 2 of them but score 3. You know what I mean? And he gets a hat-trick, whereas with Sesko, it's like, that's his first actual clear-cut one-on-one chance with a keeper. He messes it up because Van der Ven, the quickest player in the world, catches up to him, and it's like, oh, Sesko, throw him in the bin. Like, come on. It's a bit, in that sense, I do think it is a bit harsh, but again, I'll go back.
It's a service thing as well. Who played the ball through to? Was it Mount?
Mount is a brilliant.
I mean, it's a brilliant, return or reverse ball the way he spins and plays the ball through to him. We're back at the point of, it's almost like Højlund's gone to Napoli, he's scoring goals, and you're looking and thinking that it's a service issue again. That's one chance Sesko has, but he's not. It's not like he's missing 4 or 5 clear-cut chances per game. I'd say we're probably struggling to make anything near that for him.
For me, it mainly wasn't even him missing that chance. Do I think he should hit it first time? Probably, but Van der Ven makes a great challenge. I actually think, like you said, Mordz, it's really tough when you're not getting that many chances, and I think that's a really good point. For me, it's more the fact we're really under pressure. We need someone to hold the ball up and get hold of it and play passes between the lines. And I'm sorry to say, it's just the truth. He couldn't get hold of the ball at all. Wouldn't stick to him at all. And I know it's hard when you come into a game and you're away from home, but you need that from your centre forward, and that's just something he struggled with a bit today.
Yeah, and it spreads in that team. I mean, I mentioned Cunha before. He was another one that you looked at today, and the ball would not stick, and then he almost seems to try too hard then, and everything he's doing. At the point of the substitutions, we were looking at that, weren't we? And we thought it was nailed on. You think you take Cunha out there because these number 10 positions are so vital to the system and what Amorim wants to do. You need work. You've got the work rate from Cunha. You've got the full package in Mbeumo. He's been absolutely sensational as a performance today. Since the Arsenal game, I know we got beat first game of the season, but I'm looking and thinking this Mbeumo, he is the real deal. I said it last week, you've taken statistically 2 of the best 10s that were in the Premier League last season, and you've reshaped your front three. The one thing we want is it's to start clicking with Sesko. I wouldn't be surprised if Sesko today, the ball that comes through to him, he's probably caught off guard because he's not used to actually having that. He must have thought, bloody hell, he passed to me. Here we go, I'm through kind of thing. But
go on.
Here's one for you, just on Mbeumo, and I'll let you take it, Mordz. Most Premier League goal contributions in 2025. Haaland 24, Salah 23, Brian Mbeumo coming in third or 21. He is transformed our attack. I mean, that's a positive we can take, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously on that point, I think Mbeumo has been one of the most impactful signings this window, this season. I think what he's done for this team. I mean, I'll go as far to say, after Bruno, he might be the best signing we've had post-Fergie. I can't remember a player to come in. And have this big of an impact so early. I think a lot of players that have come in, we haven't really hit it. They haven't hit the heights that I feel like Mbeumo is going to hit at this team. And I feel like what he's been able to do in this team for United, I think he's raised our floor. We were at the absolute bottom of the bottom. I think he's raised that so much higher. And I think the impact he's having in this team compared to everybody else. I can't remember a signing that we've made that has been one of the best players in the league for a consistent amount of time. And I think Mbeumo, it's still obviously early in the season, but I think what he's going to do for us is going to be huge and probably more than we've had with other players.
He's better than Bruno as a 10.
That's not the point I'm making, though. That's not the point. The point I wasn't making was about him compared to Bruno. I'm saying in general. Like, I just feel
but you said he could possibly be, the best signing post?
I said after Bruno.
Bruno.
I think as an impact, I feel like he'd probably want to be one of the most impactful signings that we've had post-Fergie.
I think he's the main man in that team at the minute. I really do. And I know the captain is Bruno Fernandes, but he was like just a conductor, leading the orchestra today, the United players. I think they are constantly looking up to him. The goal that he scores, the ball is sensational from Ahmad, but it's got that spin on it. And when you see it in slow motion, and Mbeumo knows it doesn't have to be a rocket of a header. He's got to take the sting out of it and take the spin off the ball and just get it sort of on target in that corner. And there's not many other players that we have like that. At United, I just think you could do with more Mbeumos in your team because work rate wise, he's the full package.
Yeah.
He is really the full package, and I hope that. I just think Cunha is trying a little bit too hard at this moment in time. I've got no issue that it will click within time, but Mbeumo, wherever you put him in that front three, he's going to offer you something. He's a goal threat. He's just been pound for pound so far a really, really good signing.
I absolutely agree with everything that you say. He's my favourite signing of the summer. I think he's been brilliant. And just on what Mordz said, if you dropped another, when you said Pep would win another trophy with City, he's just dropped another and said Mbeumo is going to be our best signing post-Fergie after Bruno. Come back to it in a few years' time.
I think when we're looking
Mystic Mordz.
I think when we're looking at his age, I think we've had great signings, but look at like Cavani, Ronaldo. These guys were older and at the later stages of their career. They weren't really long-term signings. They might have been great players for us at that moment in time. But I think you look at Mbeumo, the fact that he's 25 years old, he's already been. There's no such thing as he needs to gel to the league or whatnot. He's done it already in the Premier League for the past 6-7 years, however long it's been. He's already, in my opinion, he literally makes our attack. Like there isn't. I can't think of a game without Mbeumo right now. Like to me, without Mbeumo in the team, it is a huge problem. Like there's nobody there.
AFCON.
Yeah, AFCON, that's going to be an interesting run of games. But I look at the team without Mbeumo and I think there's a big problem. Not to say that everybody else is terrible or whatnot, but I just think compared to especially last season, we were starting with Højlund, Garnacho and, I don't know, Anthony or whoever else was in our front three. I can't remember.
Bruno.
Probably Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno played up there a lot last season.
Did you know that Mbeumo's already scored this year more goals than Højlund did the whole season last season?
Probably, yeah. I'm not surprised. I don't think he's
saying much, is it, really?
No. But I just think what he's done for us so far, and the fact that I feel like he's even getting better. I've never seen him Mbeumo score a header.
Today was fantastic. The amount of balls he blocked, the amount of tackles he made, he blocks really. He gets in front of people and blocks them.
Yeah. His defending as a forward player is fantastic.
He gets behind the ball so quick. When United lose it, it's so refreshing from a team last season where you might have had an Anthony, a Garnacho, or Rashford, whoever it's going to be. How many times, did you see clips on social media where a forward player like that loses the ball, or when the team loses it and they're throwing their hands up in the air, particularly as a Garnacho kind of, throwing his arms up. The other team are breaking and they're in this moment where they couldn't believe they didn't get a pass or, get back in behind the ball. And Mordz has picked up on the best thing is, hopefully we'll see his best days in a Manchester United shirt because the age that he's at. And it is refreshing. Like you say, I can go back to the days of when we signed Bastian Schweinsteiger, who I absolutely loved when he was in his prime at Bayern Munich. But we got he was well gone by. Yeah. By the time we got him, he did a bit of a job, but we never seen him hit the heights that he did, sort of Champions League football, whatever, for Bayern Munich. And it has been a running theme at United. Cavani's bringing back Ronaldo, whatever it was. Great to have him in there. professional, experienced players, but especially in Cunha and Mbeumo now, you've got two players that really, as long as they keep going on that, upward cycle and performing, we should see the best days in a United shirt, which is exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just on Mbeumo there, Ruben Amorim has said on the possibility of strengthening the team in January. First of all, we need to see what happens with Benjamin Sesko. We're going to have a problem with the departure of Ahmad and Mbeumo for AFCON.
Oh God,
but we already knew that. We can anticipate it in the summer before the start of the season, but you end up with a bunch of players who aren't going to play because then there's only one match per week. It's a tough situation to manage, but let's see if we can improve the team when the transfer window opens. So, yeah, very interesting that. And I don't think underestimate Ahmad's importance to the team as well, Ricky. I mean, how important is Ahmad becoming in that team? I feel like him and Mbeumo are really big players in carrying this team right now.
Massively important. Absolutely, massively. Luke Shaw's not had a mention there, by the way. I got a message.
Still got Ligt to mention. And Bruno, I can see you all saying speak on Bruno, we'll do it.
I got a message off my mate Peter, if you're watching, Pete, straight after the game. He said that he heard the commentator say, "Oh, when we made the subs, and look how it went, by the way. When we made the subs, at least you can see United now bringing on substitutes, and they're not, you know, they're like for like." That was the phrase, they're like for like. He said I dread to see us without Ahmad and Shaw. He said without Ahmad or Shaw, it'd be like playing with 10 men with the players that you bring on in replacement of them. And I agree with him, and Mbeumo as well. I think those 3 players are absolutely vital to the team, and luckily Luke Shaw's not going to the African Nations Cup at the same time as them 2 are. Those, I don't know if any.
We can confirm.
I don't know if any of the viewers know, by the way, but that was interesting what you just said about what the manager said about signing people in January. The African Nations Cup, I think it starts early December.
Yeah, it does. It starts
early December. You know, by January.
It's actually over the Christmas
period. By January, they might be home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It starts that.
We hope. And even if you bring in a player in January, doesn't mean they're going to kick on in January. You might take a month or 2 to kick on.
One of them, at least one of them might well be on by January. So I don't know if any of the viewers don't know, but they're in the same group. Yeah. Ivory Coast and Cameroon. Yeah. So fingers crossed, one of them might not finish in the top 2.
That's what we've got to hope, really, haven't we?
Let's see. We've got so much more to talk about, so we're going to whiz through it. We have Kai saying Bruno rescues us again with another timely assist. Noah Laverty says, that's shameless, even from a Bruno fan. Noah Laverty says, Ricky, what do you have to say about Morg today? He was one of the best players on the pitch, had 1 poor cross, and that was it. Don't judge too quick.
Who's playing today?
Morg? About Morg?
I mean, I probably think
Dorgu, he means.
Dorgu, yeah.
That's the other player.
He did some good things, but he's too clumsy. He's not good enough.
Marlow FC says, I love Mbeumo, but you can't say he's revolutionised our attack. We haven't created clear-cut chance in 2 games. That's not because of him. He's finishing at any chance he's getting.
He's only shining
our goal scoring last season was an absolute disgrace, and this season it's good. The difference is like chalk and cheese.
Yeah. We could get better, of course, but Mbeumo is killing it. Mr. Darkside says, why was Mbeumo on the left today? Probably just to confuse Thomas Frank, and it worked. Kai says, Sesko out of the game with an ego injury. That's unfair. That's unfair. He got a knee injury, and apparently it's bad. He said an ego injury, but it's just not true. Island Boy Trucker says, fun fact, we can recall Amas in Jan, but I bet we don't. We should. But suppose if he's getting good loan time and experience at Sheffield Wednesday, that could be good for his development as well and help him. 99 Pace says, I won't be surprised if we recalled Haaland. If we recalled Højlund, would you take Højlund back if Sesko is out for 3 to 4 months? Don't think it's part of the agreement, to be honest with you. No. They're going to trigger an option to buy, but let's see. Marlow FC says, the problem is scouting. For so many years, we have craved a prolific striker, and we go and get Zirkzee and Sesko, none of them being prolific. Kai says, a Prem striker only gets about 2 chances a game. Christine C says, we need new midfielders at minimum. Lammens, De Ligt, Ahmad play well. Let's be honest, we aren't a top 4 team. I agree with Ronnie this week. Our club structure is poor until we get rid of the Glazers. Kai said, Mbeumo should play at striker and Cunha at cam. It's obvious. And Woozy said, we may actually have to settle for Gallagher in January. He's actually straight up better than both Ugarte and Bruno as a 6/8. Do you agree with that? I mean, let's speak on Lammens and De Ligt, because you gave Shaw credit there, and Shaw I thought was really good today. Ahmad, we know how good he is. Mbeumo, same as. But Lammens and De Ligt, I think, really need shout-outs. I mean, first and foremost, De Ligt with that winning goal.
Equalising goal.
Sorry, not winning goal, yeah. Equalising goal. Thank you,
Beth,
Ricky.
I was like, did we win it?
De Ligt with the equalising goal. I mean, he's really stood up this season as a leader, as a unit. some might argue he was a little bit at fault in that first goal, got spun a little bit, but there was a lot of contributing factors to the build-up. But you do have to, give some blame on that. But altogether, I think is into such an important member of the team. I mean, Kev, where would we be without De Ligt?
I've gone on record as saying I think he's a future Manchester United captain. I'm not saying it based on today. I just think, what's his kind of age? Is he another one like an Mbeumo, where you'd think you're going to see the better days of him? Even when we signed him, I was buzzed. I mean, that double signing at the time of, I know Mazraoui's having his injury issues or whatever at this moment in time, but he only worked out at something like 12 million, was it, as part of that deal? Yeah. So it's relatively nothing. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but in football terms, to that deal of getting De Ligt and Mazraoui, I think was a really sort of good bit of business from United, which was strange because over the years I think we've paid overly inflated prices. But De Ligt, he's just, you said it at the time, didn't you, when we went up? He sent Lammens up and we're thinking this is the last chance here. And Ricky, I think, said Harry Maguire's not on the pitch, who's going to get this? I think I actually said at that time, I said it's gonna be aimed at De Ligt. And even, was it Ali McCoy's picked it up on what we were listening to, the sort of co-commentator, about what Luke Shaw did in the build-up to that goal. And when you see it back,
it's unbelievable.
He's not doing anything wrong. He's standing his ground.
His body.
Yeah, he's not pushed anyone. He's not grabbed a shirt, and he just creates enough space for De Ligt's header. He's still got a bit to do, but I love De Ligt. I think he's an absolute warrior. The one thing I did say, at the risk of repeating myself from last week, is that we need to get a settled defence. He changes it far too much. If you're going to build it around De Ligt, as wherever you put him in that kind of back three, but have a run of games, because we keep coming on here every week saying scoring goals ain't an issue, but we're conceding goals. And I just think if he can get a settled, the wing backs keep changing, the back three keeps changing, if he can just settle on something and have a run of games, very good teams are built on the defence. And Lammens, that ties perfectly into what you're asking me earlier as well. We've not lost a game since he's been in net.
He's been in net in every one of these five games unbeaten.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of these goals that he is conceding, because you cannot point the finger at him. The Danny Welbeck kind of free kick against Brighton the other week, you look at that. The goals against Forest. Today, 2 of the saves that he made, you could argue one was straight at him, but the one that was on the kind of knee, where he kind of flicks it around, and puts it out for a corner. I said at the time, Anana's not saving that. That's going off him and in. And I thought the way that he's mixed it up, the long balls, Arne Slot was proper triggered by the fact that we beat them and, you can't play football this way. Well, we did, and we won. It's only because you didn't like it, because we were direct. It was a tactic that United used. It worked perfectly at Anfield, and I think they will use it again. I think there's a hell of a lot of snobbery about playing out from the back. I don't think we're actually good enough to do that, so I think he's identified that and thought, if we can go along, win them duels, the second balls, higher up the field, whoever it is who's going to hold it up, bring the others into play.
Yeah, I think you made some really good points there, and Lammens it's funny, isn't it? Because we're conceding so many goals, but it's not his fault. He's making some really good saves, and that leads me on to a question for you, Mordz. Like, De Ligt is flying, doing really well. Lammens is looking good. The defence is getting quite a lot of praise, but we are conceding this many goals. I mean, you look at last season, we were conceding, but we weren't scoring. This season, we're scoring, but we're still conceding. And Lammens is still pulling off some pretty decent saves. Are we doing better because we've simply just upgraded the keeper and the attack? And maybe to continue, getting better and conceding less goals, does the same need to happen in the midfield?
I do think Lammens definitely has a huge factor in it. I mean, he's never lost a United game. He's
not a bad start, is it?
He's unbeaten. You can't even fault him. He's never lost a match before. So
it's crazy.
That's actually a crazy thing to say. But yeah, he definitely should take a lot of credit for it. We should give him a lot of credit for that as well. But I think we already spoke about the midfield before anyway. But I do think it is time. I mean, looking at Bruno's performance, obviously I haven't spoke about it. He was definitely a shell of himself today. It was a poor performance from him. And yes, he got the assist from that corner, but for the majority of the game, there's even a point where when we were making the subs, we all thought Bruno was coming off. I remember we all sat there like, oh, he's actually bringing him off for once, and he wasn't. he wasn't keeping him on. But I remember saying at the start of the season that eventually, and I remember I said it on the forum, I said eventually, if Bruno is putting in poor performances, he's going to have to get subbed at one point. And I think somebody who sat here was like, nah, it's not going to happen, Amorim's not going to do it. And I was like, nah, he has to at some point. Like, it's not even a case of I don't like Bruno, I'm one of Bruno's biggest fans, you guys obviously know, but like, end of the day, United have to do what's best for United. If a player isn't playing well, regardless of whether he's a captain or he's, I don't know, whoever he is, he's got a huge name. If he's not playing well in this position, and you can clearly see the opposition is, let me not say they're targeting him, but they're definitely targeting our midfield in general, you're going to have to make a difficult, I guess, substitution just to make an impact in the game. And look, end of the day, look, we look at the results table, and I think, Kev, you mentioned it before about how points-wise we're doing all right, so we should be a bit happy about it and stuff like that. But like, if we actually look at a lot of our results, we're just about winning or drawing quite a few of them. The Burnley game, just about won that. This game, the Forest game, like we're just about making it through quite a lot of these games. Look up in Liverpool at the start of the season, they just about were winning a lot of their games, and all of a sudden something just clicked off, and now then it went on a huge losing streak. You can't just rely on last minute goals and say, oh, but at least we got the 3 points, so we should just be 100% happy. Yes, as a United fan, you're going to be happy with the fact that you're not losing games, but you also have to be a little bit more constructive and observant as to what the problems are, and try to change them now before it ends up in us going on a losing streak, and now we're confused as to why it's happening. But the signs were already there, we just didn't do anything about it.
It's a lot of what ifs so as well, isn't it? You know, what if we'd have beat Arsenal first game of the season? We played, you know, really, really well as a performance. What if we'd have turned up against Brentford? What, you know, it is a lot of what if we hadn't, like, we didn't turn up at the Etihad, really, did we? City were better than us on the day, but it's a lot of what ifs. Yeah,
I see it as 4 points drop personally. I know that might just be me being greedy, but do you know why I do? It's because there was opportunities to win that Forest game where you were ahead. There's opportunities to win that game today, and that's just what frustrates me, because if we do the right things, we are capable of doing it, and it is a little bit concerning that, you know, Amorim's mentioned that the team is getting tired in the second half, and it's like, we're playing one game a week, but then again, when you are playing two players that are the most pivotal part of the team, one of the most pivotal parts, the midfield, that are both over 30. If you're playing one game a week, the bodies aren't going to recover the same way as they were. So I don't know.
It's just some reflection of the game, isn't it, really?
Just done a little calculation there. When you was giving me daggers there, I wasn't messaging the missus. No, she looked at me while I was on my phone, but I was doing a calculation. So last season, we let far too many goals in. Far too many. 1.4 a game it was. So far this season, we're letting in 1.6 a game.
He's gone up to
1.7 has it gone up?
Yeah.
But anyway, and we we're quite a way into the season, 11 games. It's, you know, you'd be able to, if we played 4 or 5 games, you might say, oh, you know, it's not going to continue. But we're 11 games into the season, and we're conceding more goals than we were last season. That's not a good sign. It has got to stop.
But we're scoring.
We're scoring.
Yeah, it's finding that happy medium.
We have got to tighten up. As I say, we let too many goals in last year. We're letting even more in this year.
Yeah, and I think there's no doubt that the midfield is definitely an issue. If you've got 2 players in that can sit in, that protect the back three, that allow others to carry the ball into midfield, whatever, I think a lot of us deep down know that. I know you love Bruno as well, but you know, more long term, is it going to work?
I rate him a lot, but I think even though I'm a big Bruno fan, there's no harm in subbing him, and he doesn't even seem to want to do that. He's, you know, if he gives you a good half, because I thought he started the game well, but then he got into his old habits again, and you're just thinking, oh, we kind of could do with a substitution in there now. And he's not afraid to sub Casemiro, and Casemiro, I think, is actually probably the most important player in there at the moment, but if he wasn't injured. But then with Bruno, he doesn't seem to want to sub him. So I think it's just getting your substitutions right at the right time. I mean, I think he brings a lot of good to the team. And like you said, you know, that even in a game where he's played bad, like somehow he's getting the assist for the last goal. He does bring a lot of good.
Just take the corners up.
No, but
it was a good corner though.
It was a good corner.
But also, I think him and Cunha today were guilty of the same thing, but only Cunha's getting punished for it because he's coming off. Cunha and Bruno both today, and if you have too many of these characteristics in your team, like it can cost you at times, both holding the ball for way too long, and they both mean well. And they both really care, you can tell. They've got a lot of confidence. But they've got to learn from that because Brennan Johnson, I think it was, scored and it was offside. And it came from Cunha being dispossessed. And it was like the 5th time in a row he's dispossessed. And it's like him and Bruno, sometimes they want to hold the ball for quite a long time. They feel like they need to do it all themselves. Give it go, give it go, give it go. That's where I think Amorim needs to come in a little bit as well in the training behind the scenes and just work on that because both got positive attributes. They're both trying to help the team, but we're getting dispossessed far too easily, and it's a big reason why we couldn't string a lot of passes together because certain players are just, and I think Cunha and Bruno are big culprits of this, just holding on to it a lot in the game.
The incident today where I went mad during the game, that was appalling. It was absolutely appalling. There's no two ways about it. And I'm saying that, I've got to watch it again. But in the game today, there was an incident when it came to Bruno just outside the box. And from one viewing, I will watch it again, but from one viewing, it looks obvious that he's just got to shove it in front of Ahmad. Ahmad's in behind. And if he's in behind, it's a great chance for somebody else to get a goal for Ahmad to pull it back. And Bruno turned inside. I can't remember what happened, but it was a wrong decision. It should have gone to Ahmad. And it was 1-0 for us at the time. If we get a goal out of that, do you know what I mean? We're probably sitting here with 3 points now. And it was a ridiculous decision. There was another one just before they scored as well, where he's got the ball and there's an easy pass, a layoff, a 4 or 5 yard layoff, and he turned it round the corner instead to Mount. And again, I'll have to watch it again, but he turned it round the corner to Mount, and it did go to Mount, but it's just that it's a bit more of an awkward pass, and it put Mount under a little bit of pressure, and then he lost it, and then we didn't get the ball back from that, and they scored. Do you know what I mean? We're winning, we just got to keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. So again, as I say, I'm speaking now, the emotions are running high, we've just dropped points. But during the game, watching it live, I thought he should have passed an easy ball on the halfway line, and then they wouldn't have gone away and scored. And also, he should have passed it to Ahmad, and that could have led to a goal for us. Like I say, I'll repeat it yet again. I want to go and watch it again, but from my memory, from watching it today, it cost us twice. A goal for them and a goal for us, possibly a goal for us.
This is why at the start I wanted to kind of give Casemiro his kind of flowers, because I do think a hell of a lot of the time, if you break that game down and watch it, the amount of times you see him exposed on his own, and this is like, how many Champions Leagues has he won? He's played at the very top level with Real Madrid. He's played with top players in that midfield. I'm not saying Bruno's not a top player, even though Ricky's looking at me saying he certainly is not. But I just don't think he is a midfielder, and that's why I give Casemiro even more praise in a game like that today, because when Bruno goes on a mad one and disappears, and wants to go and play with Cunha and Mbeumo a bit further forward and leaves his kind of post, that's when Casemiro has to be really, really switched on, because, if he's left isolated, we know in a foot race, especially against the players that Tottenham had on the field today, he doesn't want to get involved in a foot race, and I think that's where he's switched on. He's got that football knowledge to know to kind of hang back.
Yeah. And we just had a bit of breaking news coming in. I'm not 100% sure on the source, but it's coming out from Fred Caldera that Casemiro asked to be substituted after taking a rough hit. So might have had a knock then. So Kev, you were right.
There we go.
Bit of praise for Amorim there, because I did think it was a weird substitution. But again, it is concerning, like you said, that there's no one else in our squad that is capable of playing in that midfield with Bruno there. So I don't know. Let's do player of the match and Magic Moment, because we are out of time. So, player of the match, Mordz, we'll go with you.
It's tough, actually. I might say Ahmad.
Kev?
Mbeumo for me. Has to be Brian Mbeumo. Full package today. Great finish as well.
As I said earlier, about 3 players who all played great, and you've picked 2 of them, and only because you've picked those 2, I'll go with Luke Shaw.
You go with Luke Shaw, right? Yeah, I knew it.
Only because you.
Do we not do one usually?
Ahmad and Mbeumo and Luke Shaw. Ahmad and Mbeumo and Luke Shaw were all fantastic.
I'm going to go with De Ligt.
Yeah.
I know he was slightly at fault for the first goal, but it is a. it's tough in that moment, and I do think for the rest of the game he was really
all
solid.
good
I don't even really put him at fault that much for that goal, because like, what did you want him to do? He even got a foot onto it and it deflected past Lammens. So.
And that's why, from Lammens' point of view, you think he's got no chance with either of them goals, really.
You know, sometimes you've just got to kind of think that, you know, and there's a lot of contributing factors, and I just think to bring it back with that equaliser, you know, you're at 10 men, it's such a good header, it's a pivotal moment of the game. At the end of the day, he's brought us a point. So I know when Mbeumo did and he's contributing. If it wasn't for you guys saying the other players who have done really well, then I would maybe change it.
4 different ones.
Yeah, I thought I'd give him a bit of credit
You could have said
there.
Lammens as well.
Lammens is up there.
Yeah.
I mean, magic moment, I'm going for that save with his foot. Should we all go with that one?
I'll go with the Licht's goal.
Go on then.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for something different, actually, and it's a Tottenham kind of thing, but I'm going to go for Richarlison crying. He took his shirt off and cried at 2-1. You deserve that. Honestly, when I was going to say De Ligt's header, obviously, to make it 2-2, but Richarlison, you know, a grown man in tears, because he scored potentially at that moment in time a game that, you know, might get 3 points for his team, but it didn't. So thank you.
Right.
You got one to add, or?
I was in the goal. Oh, you seen the goal as well? I seen the second save.
Oh, okay, nice. Do you know what could have been one for Tottenham, not for us? Van de Ven's tackle on Sesko.
Oh, yeah. It was quality.
How annoying. Who's better, by the way, Van de Ven or De Ligt? Are we making a conclusion here?
I think that earlier on.
I think Man of Man got man of the match.
It was both of them were so good. But anyway, we'll wrap it on that. You decide. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys.
It's absolutely
absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
I feel so much better now than I did at the start.
Yeah.
I was really frustrated at the start.
2 weeks of no football now.
Oh, yeah.
International break,
Gutted.
what's all that about?
Yeah.
But while football is still with us until the international break, there is football. It's obviously the international break. You can watch, you know, the international teams, but Premier League football, while that is still with us, make sure you head over to That's Football for the Arsenal-Sunderland watch-along. It is kick-off at 5:30. Goldbridge will be there. Make sure you go and watch it. Let's see what happens with that one. It's going to be a good game. I can already feel it. Then tomorrow on That's Football as well, you have Super Sunday, Liverpool versus Man City. Let's see how that one pans out. But thank you, everyone, for watching the show, smashing a like on the video, getting your comments in, getting your super chats in. We're all passionate about United. We're all United fans with strong feelings after all these games. But do you know what? To end on a positive, we've got signing of the summer in Mbeumo, and we're still 5 games unbeaten. So let's end on that one. Yep. Thank you all for a brilliant show. Thank you all for joining us. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.